So good morning, everyone. Thanks for your participation in this second webinar that we do on data collection in the field in the sector of organic food breeding. We have already conducted one session 2 weeks ago focusing on the presentation of two digital tools, a breeders database and the FreeGen, another data collection related to phenotyping data. Today we focus on social innovation, a really important aspect in the organic breeding sector, and then Marc will present an interesting cases, and in 2 weeks we will have another digital tool that will be presented by the FIBL. It's the field book application. The objectives of these sessions is to present these tools that could be new for different actors, to support also the implementation and to collect feedback if we have users in the rooms. I will briefly present the objectives of the InnOBreed project, and then I will let the floor to Marc to present his experience and feedback, and then Maria Giulia Mariani will manage the round table. So the InnOBreed project is a collaborative project funded under the Horizon Europe from 2022 to 2026. So it's the end of the project this year. The objective is to foster organic crop breeding and improve the performance of the food sector. We do evaluation, implementation, and aggregation of different innovative solutions to promote the organic sector and to develop and diffuse the different cultivars that are suitable for this specific sector. The main objective is to identify these food cultivars that are really suited for the organic conditions by breeding with new organic approaches, evaluating local genetic resources, pre-breeding and breeding materials, and introducing these varieties into the sector. A clear part of this project is dedicated to technological innovations, but we also have an important aspect of innovations in this project that is organizational, socio-economic innovations, and we also include different types of stakeholders at different phases of the project, like breeders, evaluators, collection curators, innovation providers, and farmers. We wish to capitalize on already available innovative solutions to implement them in different contexts in the different regions of Europe. The identification also on participative basis with different workshops and discussions for the past 4 years. To understand what are the most suitable varieties for the sector and adapted to climate change, ensure that the requirements of the food sector, consumers and civil society are also integrated into the results proposed, and also highlight the practical and technological conditions for implementing the different innovative solutions, whether technological or social or other types of innovations that could fit the best the sector and the context of the stakeholders and end users. So this project was implemented in 10 countries and 41 institutions. Different partners were involved in this interesting project. So this is the brief presentation of the InnOBreed project. If you have questions, we can answer at the end of the session. Now I will let the floor to to Marc. You can share your screen, Marc, to begin the presentation. Thank you.
Right. Good morning, everybody. Do you see my screen?
Yes, but not full screen yet.
Not full screen, sorry. Like this?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I know many of you that are dealing with us with this webinar. So I present me briefly. So I'm an agronomist and I'm a lover of fruit trees since my childhood. So tree is always something very important because you have a kind of relationship with something that stay. You plant it, you can prune it, you pick the fruits, you see the flowers in the spring, and all those aspects took me from my childhood, and I'm very happy to be a professional in these aspects. So my talk of this morning will be to share some experience in organic participatory breeding approach with growers. And sorry for some of repetition or things that I have already told to you previously, but it is like it is. So I want also to thanks all the other people that are sharing my work. So Baptiste Thibault, who is working in the field here. Jean-Baptiste Rey is my collaborator in North France. Alain Rondia is working here. Philippe Thierry, very important advisor with which we are working since many years. René Stievenard is the co-founder of NovaFruit, and Didier Dujardin is the chairman. So the first point, I will just briefly put the context, then have a kind of feedback about the general principle of participatory research or breeding, and then having giving the principle, put some key elements which help to aggregate partners, because that's the first point: how to aggregate partners in a common objectives, and that the relationship are smooth between all the participants. And that's also the point at D is how to build such good and fair relationships between partners that are working together, and then some results and key messages. So I will not develop much more the InnOBreed project, but it is well an innovative project dedicated to fruit tree species and breeding. Many actors, many species, and then we are facing to quite high pressure due partly to the climate changes, but also due to the fact that organic farming has a specific rules, and therefore we are thinking that in the future, and we also organize with FIBL survey to better know which are the pressure for the future on organic fruit growing. And there are some elements. The first is that we probably will need more robust rootstock, better adapted to climate change. So because there are big extremes of climate, sometimes too dry, sometimes too wet. So we need more robust rootstocks, for example. Then in some place in Europe, there will be too low chilling cold, and so there are some problem for some crops, apricots or perhaps. Then we see also that the flowering periods are much earlier than formerly. So 1 to 2 weeks earlier. So spring frost start to be one of the risk that we are facing. And then if it is too hot, we can have sunburn on the fruits, and also different abiotic stress, but also due to the climate change, some biotic traits are also developing, most probably insects, but also some disease, no new disease or old parasites that will be more important. So we are facing to many different traits, and for probably that due to those pressures, we will probably have to change our paradigm and go to more robust agroecosystems to be more adapted to such pressure, and therefore robustness is a key element which could be defined as a dynamic adaptability to biotic and abiotic stresses, but also looking for good disease tolerance. Do we need resistance or tolerance or both? That's the questions. And then also people, we need also to give to the people good food quality, not only yield, but also the quality, the nutritional quality is very important. And also we will be faced to lower our fertilizing methods, either organic or not organic, but area taking the place of organic fertilizing. So the molecular mechanism of robustness is not well known because it is multi-traits, multi-factors. So it is a quantitative trait. It is perhaps not predictive between different aspects of the quantitative traits. And we could say that a more robust cultivar has a higher adaptive capacity to stresses, and also have perhaps higher capacity to optimize its yields under low input farming systems. And that's also the objective of our organic breeding programs. We have also seen in the past, and when we are looking to old orchards, there are some cultivars that are much more robust than others with a very good global foliage health and without too much disease. There are always disease on all cultivars. We have no resistance on apple, for example. There are no old apple cultivars that are, for example, scab resistant, but they are rather scab tolerant. So they can produce fruits with a small amount of scab, but with a low impact on the quality and on the yields. Here's some example. In the middle, you have an old cultivar, a Belgian old cultivar. The name is Renette Dubois. It's a diploid one, very robust for many diseases. Here at the top, you have a Golden Delicious, and here you have Crips Pink, which is in all conditions one of the most susceptible apple cultivar. It is more susceptible than golden. We thought that golden was one of the most susceptible for scab or gala, but it seems that Pink Lady is even more susceptible. And it is normal to put on the market still such heavy old cultivars that are highly susceptible to scab? That's also another question. Here, if you see during the time when you observed a Golden Delicious in red and Président Rollin, it's just an example in blue, you see that the Président Rollin, and here you have the scab severity, move always in low disease susceptible. It is not resistant. It is very low susceptible. And if you compare with golden, it is some years it has a low scab severity, but in many years the scab severity is very high, and that's the difference between what we call quantitative resistance, the difference level of quantitative resistance. And here we can see also in the context of organic fruit breeding, we are facing two specific constraints. We have no quick fix plant protection products, so we have to adapt us. We have to be more preventive and prophylactic. Then one question come for the future: would we be able to use copper in the future? It seems not. So we need to be prepared to this situation, and it is a very important point for the future of organic fruit growing, but also for palm fruit growing, because copper is also used for protection to European canker, for example, also in the conventional agriculture. So we are thinking, like I told you previously, that we need more tolerance to diseases. Also, we need to be aware about secondary pest disease emerging. Then the organic farming is always focused on soil fertility. We need to have a living soil with a good structure, good organic matter, and also that is good fertility in the soil. Very important also for water, and also for the organic fertilizing of the fruits. Then for organic farming system, the annual bearing versus biennial bearing is very important, because we have also no chemical thinnings methods. So probably that tree architecture from the beginning needs to be, but perhaps more important than in the conventional one, but it is for both agriculture important. Then storability. We see also by to the organic farmers that post-harvest diseases is an important, very important point, and we need also to take that into account in our breeding program. So therefore, I come back to robustness, and also probably to develop more common participatory approach. So here, just to view that ideally, the organic farming system need to be more an agroecosystem with many aspects, with functional biodiversity in some cases, to take into account animal into the orchards, and to make this balance between agronomy, economy, environment, and social society. So we need to have a more holistic approach than normally. So therefore, I don't want to go deeper for the project InnOBreed, but we were thinking about innovation solution, but also social innovation. And participatory breeding is one of the social innovation aspects of the project, with different actors, people working with old cultivars, because we want to enlarge the genetic base of our material, and then develop evaluation, but utilization of our local old cultivars with a good evaluation process, developing pre-breeding material, that is the first step. Then we can share such pre-breeding material, and then afterwards, developing breeding, but also testing cultivar in the proper situation for organic farming system. Some example, we were based on some example that were already ongoing among our partnership. So Apfelgut, the University of Copenhagen, started also a participatory approach, and we were also starting a participatory approach since 2014. Just for coming back to another example of cooperative breeding, it started just after the Second World War, a collaborative project between 3 universities in USA, Purdue University, Rutgers, and Illinois. And they developed commonly a program for developing scab-resistant apple. And therefore that their cultivars were, the number were cooperative breeding. And also many of them started with PRI. And they started, they were the first who developed the VF gene, the resistant gene, RVI6 gene for scab. And since this work, they shared their material very openly, and it was a very good way to help everybody to go to the objective of more scab-resistant cultivars. And many of I can say quite all of our breeding programs are very happy to have the possibility to use such a material coming from this very early cooperative breeding program. Then if we can go on what is participatory research, it is rather working with than working on. Many scientists are working on what are you working on, what are your studies. And here the paradigm is a little bit different. We are working with people, with different partners, with different actors, and the system is based on, we develop together a plan. We develop priorities, a design, procedures, measure, intervention, or I don't know what. Then we put our plan on action, and with different type of actions, pilot testing, and we are implementing our IDs. And after we are looking for the results, we are doing an observation, analyzing the data, reporting, sharing our results, and so on. And then we are thinking about, oh, what is it good? Is it bad? Is it very medium? What do we need to improve? And this reflection is very important. That's the evaluating process. Mostly for us, we are using the winter for reflection. But the winter is always too short because we have many things to reflect. And then we have to revisit and and it is a circle, and then it is an iterative process, and we go always further in our process, and that's really the good example of a breeding program. Here there is another way to give an idea of what are the different levels of participatory research. So the first level is to inform. That's our goal also as a researcher. We need to inform, to give the information. But then we can also have a consultation to see what is our output good, or are our objectives good to fitting with the need of the people. Then the third step is to involve the people, not only to consult them, to involve. And then the step further is to collaborate. Then we need to define what is collaboration, how do we collaborate, and then the last, but probably we not so many often we are going to up to this level is on powering. That's the community is leading the research decision making, but that's not the case in my situation for the moment. Then there are different topics that have been studied mostly also in other countries, developing participatory plant breeding with involving farmers, training the farmers, but also developing village seed banks and working together to develop a market and so on. And there are different terms that have been defined, but I will not go deeper on those aspects. Just to know that participatory breeding is not a new approach; it's an old way to develop breeding, and we are learning by doing, in fact. Here, another point is that when you see a normal breeding program that is integrating at some stage of the breeding program the farmer. So the scientists are developing their objectives, they are doing their crosses, they are having they're developing segregating populations, they are making screening, selection, and then they are developing with the elite material some on-station yield trials, or to see how good are the product of the breeding activities. And then at the last test, they could involve farmers to test their material. That's one way. Another way to develop participatory breeding is to involve directly the farmers. Sorry. Okay, so to involve the farmers at each stage of the process, and that's a more advanced way to develop participatory breeding. So the question is, when do you involve the partnership? At which stage are they involved in the decision making, in the evaluation, in the screening? And that's also an important question. But that's up to each of us. We need to, in all situations, with the partners that we have, with the time frame, we have to be adapted in the local situation, each of us, to decide how and with when and when you will have the contribution of partnership. So, in fact, our participatory breeding approach started with a project that were organized and coordinated by INRAE Avignon, Eco-Développement, and they started a participatory research on durable orchards. And during several years, each year we organize a meeting, and the people who were invited were growers, advisors, scientists, breeder, but also technicians. And we were discussing about what are the levers to improve the durability of our orchards. And the people who started to develop the participatory breeding program were members of this initiative. So that's a good starting point. The second starting point is the fact that we collaborated between two institutes, regional institutes, the one in Hauts-de-France, Centre Régional de Ressources Génétiques, and our institute, who is also a regional research center. And we both have a collection of genetic resources, and we both develop a little bit the same approaches. And that was something that helped us to better collaborate together. And also we developed together an indirect project with the name of Biodomestica, the biodiversity of the cultivated plants. And it was also a starting point for our synergies and complementaries and for sharing ideas and so on. So the principle of our work are also common. We collected since 40 years old material from old orchards, from garden, and also collecting ethnobotanical information. We developed conservation, propagation first, conservation strategies, and evaluation, long-term evaluation, at least 10 years of evaluation. And then we were promoting use of such cultivars after having evaluated this material. And one aspect is breeding. So there is a quite large number of accessions in our collections. If you see mostly apple and pears, but also plums, cherry, peach, and grapes. We were looking for going back to the past when the plants have been selected, mostly mass selection, without any spray scheme, because the fungicides, insecticides were probably not used, because if you know Bordeaux mixture, the copper is only used since the early 20th century. But before, how did the farmers, how did the gardeners to produce some fruits without fungicides and without insecticides? So probably in the past they were more robust material and more tolerant material than what modern or what we call modern breeding programs developed in the latest decades. So, and therefore it is important to make such evaluation in really unsprayed orchards. That's for us one of the most important points, because evaluation in an unsprayed orchards, you produce a kind of dynamic coevolution of plants, but also on pests, on strains of diseases, and also in interaction with the environmental stresses. And then you have a very nice phenotyping of your material, and you see how the plants are adapted to stresses. And that's when and how we are selecting more robust material for direct use. So we are using such material for releasing old, good disease-tolerant cultivars for the market, for the direct use of such cultivars, or for pre-breeding or for breeding. So we developed a lot of studies on susceptibility to scab, to Alcinoepiri, which is a new more and more important disease. When you lower the spray schemes, new diseases are coming, because when you spray, many diseases are not present. But when you start to reduce much your spray scheme, new diseases or old diseases or pests can emerge and come and become to be more important. So that's also important to take into account emergent pests and diseases in our evaluation orchards. And that's the case when you don't spray at all your plants. Also, canker becomes a more and more important disease, especially when you have a wet and hot autumn. That's the perfect good conditions for the propagation of European canker. And then we need to take into account such susceptibility in our future breeding program, I'm sure. Then we developed some how to measure the level of robustness of a plant. It's still a question. it's still a methodological question that we need to think about, and together looking for to have a method of evaluation of such a quantitative and multi-level traits. And here, one of the way that we are using for the moment, but we could probably improve our system, is to assess the global foliage health. It's not only disease, it's just to look the plants, and the German are using the term vitality. Vitality is the energy of a plant that can be more adapted to resist to stresses, different kind of stresses. And mostly we are taking into account also the level of the green color. How darker the green is, we interpret that as how healthier it is, how healthy is a plant. When we see when there are deficiencies in the plants, leaves are suffering from some such deficiencies. They become pale green, yellow. That's not a good signal of a healthy plant. And so that's something that we are for the moment using for developing to point out more robust cultivars than others. Then some key elements, as I already proposed in the beginning of my talk, there is a long history of kind of friendship between us, between North France and Belgium, and that's very important that we are happy to come together. We are happy to phone. And have you seen that? I've done that. What do you think about that? And all those relationship is very rich and important for developing a more formal partnership with people. And the partners need to have the impression that if we are together, we are stronger. We are building a synergy. There are complementarities with different partners. So we are looking for innovative organic fruit growers, innovative organic advisors, innovative fruit tree genetic resource collection managers, innovative scientists and breeders, and also innovative organic variety testers. All are complementary, and we need them to be together to help us to find out a solution for different situation. So, as I already told you, we need long-term evaluation to have the possibility to make the good choice of the parents for the breeding program. We need to know the good traits of a cultivar, but more important, we need to know the bad traits. The bad traits of a cultivar is something that we want to avoid in a breeding program, because you have always such traits that are coming in your offsprings, and also we always have to not combine two cultivars that have the same bad traits, because then you have a very high probability that such difficult traits will be inherited in your population, in your offsprings. So that's very important to have a good evaluation of your breeding parental breeding material before you will breed. But then after having bred, make your crosses, you will also learn from your cross in your offspring. If you make a screening, for example, for scab, you will see what are the proportion of your tolerant cultivars in your offspring of such crosses than to another. So in our situation, we are not working with molecular markers. We are always working with phenotypic evaluation. We were already working in both partners in such breeding programs, so we were quite in the same stage of our breeding program, and we developed also a pre-breeding material. We developed also, thanks to the such Interreg projects, two organic trials, so variety trials, but also old cultivars trials at both sites, North France and Belgium, and with the same material, with same methods, and that's helped a lot in having good results from our evaluation trials. Then we had to define our specific goals for our breeding objectives. The first was to breed for better adaptation to low input growing systems, and we are only working on with organic breeding methods. On each step of our breeding approach, we are doing without any spray or without any fertilizing, or at best in organic conditions. Then disease tolerance, robustness, resilience are very important. Very often we were developing combination between RVI genes with quantitative resistance. Also, our goal was to broadening genetic basis of our breeding programs by using the best performing local cultivars as parents. But sometimes old cultivars have also, as I told, not very interesting characters. You need to go to do a good selection in your old cultivars. Then quality. We are a small breeding program, so originality is very important for us. We have to do something that the commercial big breeding companies are not doing, or trying to do something that the others are not doing. So originality is very important, and we also developed some breeding program, and mostly in North France, for processing uses, for cider, for example. There are some good cultivars that have been released for good technological quality for juice or cider. Then, as also I mentioned before, nutritional quality for us is also an important point. C vitamin, polyphenols, and so on. But easy tree architecture, so the choice of your parents are also very important on these aspects. Then for sure, each grower needs a good yield. What is a good yield? It is a sufficient yield with a good economic income. And also no specific post-harvest problems would be also ideal, and developing such collaborative breeding approach. So very early in the early 90s, I developed this aspect of quantitative resistance in our breeding selection process. So we are accepting up to 10 to 25% of the area surface infected by scab after quantitative inoculation. It means that we are also selecting with no scab, but we are tolerating plants that have a low level of susceptibility in those experimental and controlled conditions. And then we check the class of susceptibility. So we put each plant in a different class of susceptibility, class 0, 1, 2, 3, up to 4. That's really the limit. 5 it is eliminated. And we keep the plants in their class of susceptibility from the screening test up to the nursery. And we can validate if the selection pressure during the early stage is good, has a good correlation with the field susceptibility in natural conditions. So here you see just an example of different type of crosses. So we are crossing, yes, I say it was an old-fashioned way to mention RVI, so VF or RVI with polygenic resistance. Here it is RVI with commercial, with a little bit polygenic resistance, because commercial cultivars has good agronomical traits, or polygenic and polygenic just to improve the diversity of mechanism of tolerance, and then different type of crosses. Then just at this point, and it is a reflection on how to release when, if you have developed a good cultivar, what will you do? What is your strategy? So mostly we are asking for plant breeders' rights to CVV, CPVO. It takes at least 3 years. It costs up to 16,000 euro, so it's quite an investment. At this point, we need material that is virus-free, so that's also a bottleneck for the process. And there are different strategies. Here I mentioned 4, but there could be more than 4 strategies. The first is you got your plant breeders' rights. Then you take contact with nurseries, and you make an agreement and a negotiation. And you are giving the license of production of propagation and marketing to the nursery, 1 or 2 nursery or 3 nursery, depends. That's the normal way. That was the old-fashioned way to release cultivars. Then came the concept of variety clubs, and the most important is Crips Pink, that was developed with the trademark Pink Lady. There is a consortium of nursery marketers, breeders, and they are developing a very close agreement between all of the partners, and there are also financial returns on the tree, but also on the fruits, the quantity of fruits. That's not the case in the normal plant breeders' rights. You have always only a fee coming from the tree. Each tree gives you rights to some money. That's you have to negotiate. Then we were developing, and the third way is the participatory approach with public institutions. And there we are looking for an alternative with more an objective of fair trade, win-win situation. And the levels of decision are shared with local food growers. And there, the nursery, we always need a nursery for the propagation of the material. They are professional in that. We make also an agreement for as a service provision agreement for the propagation of the number of trees that the growers are wanted. And the last one would be and could be an open access variety. And then you release your variety without plant breeders' rights. But if you need a kind of visibility of your work or traceability, you can also eventually ask for a trademark name, and then you can also develop a consortium or an agreement that the variety could only be put on the market under the trademark that you developed. And then that's a kind of marketing approach. But the material itself is free of use. But on the four aspect, the material that has been released is free of use for the breeding, and that's not the case if we go to NGT. If they are asking for a specific, or you call that. So if they're asking for protecting their innovative aspects, that will not be used anymore for the breeding activities, and that's a very important point for the development of a new NGT material on the market. So we started together reflecting, and we created a group exclusively with organic farmers that have all of their production in organic conditions, and the two institutions, North France and Belgium, and we created the association with the name Nova Fruit, Nova Fruits. And from the beginning, the founders were 12 organic fruit growers and 2 regional public institutes. And we developed the concept of a geographical production area. So the material that will be produced together will be defined for a defined geographical production area, not outside. And also, we give the exclusivity of the material for 10 years. And then we can renegotiate after 10 years if the exclusivity stay to this group or not. So that's a way to be a little bit more flexible if everything is running well or not. Then we define legal and administration framework. So the association has a legal status. The association developed an internal association rules and regulation. We developed a specific partnership agreement between the 2 public institutions, between North France and Belgium. How do we share our material or ownership and so on? Then there has been an experimental and cultivation contract of new cultivars has been created also by the both institutes. And we developed also a contract for propagation agreement with more or 1 nurseryman, depending on the contract. But we did not went to the market. So therefore it's not a club. It's not a real club, because all varieties are free for sale on how they want to be sold. So there is no rules for the market on this approach. So we merge different people, so therefore we say it is a public producer people partnership. 2 institutes, a growers association, advisor people, also from North France and from Wallonie. And here the breeding process is quite classical. So I explain our objectives, and we made the crosses, we make the screening with controlled inoculation for scab. We are working on controlled inoculation for European canker. And then as the process is normal, but here just to mention that remember the question, at which at which steps start the participatory approach. And in fact, we are still in the situation where when we have super elite material, so when we have planted in our trial evaluation trial of our super elite 6 to 12 trees per number, at this stage, we invite the growers to visit such trials, and we are discussing, we are proposing this, and then start the participatory approach. So if you see, the participatory approach is starting quite late in the process. But when the cultivars are, so now we are more than 10 years of work together, we are receiving some feedback and some ideas of crosses, but it's not very common from the growers to reflect on strategy of breeding, of crosses and so on. They just telling us, oh, I have a problem with that, or that's a problem. I want but I want high yield, good look, so that the cultivars have a good look, the prices are good, and good income. That's the most important points of a grower, and less risk. But more than that, it's very often difficult to take good idea. I just had 2 examples of a grower where we made crosses in each field, in its field, with a local variety of its region in Britain, small Britain, and we got the seeds. We made the first screening. We give them back the plants, but there was no following up of the material, so we did not get any results from this experience. And the second one is with the same grower. We were planting 2 cultivars quite good, so rows of cultivars together, and he brought us seeds from one of the 2 cultivars, because the 2 cultivars were very good, and he told us, we will try with this seeds of population of seeds if we can get something better due to the cross of those 2 cultivars, but it was open pollination with high probability that the pollination came from the 2 cultivars that were neighbors. But that's the two experiences that we had, and mostly the growers are starting to become interested when they see something, when they taste something, when they see trees. Before, small plantlets and without any fruits, many growers are not so much interested in all situations. But I've seen that in the project Apfelgut. I think that growers are more interested in the early stage and not only in the later stage. And here is the key element of key tools for a good and fair relationship. We need agreements. That's really a take-home message. We need good agreements from the beginning. Here, agreement between the 2 institutes. It's a collaborative agreement. Then we need inside the Organic Growers Association good rules. We need an agreement between the institutes and the Organic Growers Association. The rules need to be very clear between the 2. Then we need agreement between the Growers Association and their members. How are the relations between the Growers Association? What are the rules between the members of the association and the association itself? And then, latest but not least, we need a tripartite agreement between institutes, organic farmer association, and nursery. When you are propagating material, you need a good agreement between the tree to be sure that the trees are propagated on the proper way, and that all trees are delivered to the growers. So there is also then, I need to mention, a specific link between the grower and the nursery, because it is the grower at the final stage who will pay the trees. So each trees are paid by the growers at all stages. And that's also a kind of giving responsibility to the growers itself. But also it is a security for the institutes that the contract is dealing directly between the nursery and the fruit growers that engage it in himself to pay the trees when the trees are produced. And here we can say that there is here at this system a paradigm shift, because at this stage it is the grower association, so the member of the association, who are taking the decision. We are proposing, we organize meeting, we organize a visit of our trials, we can let taste the fruits, see the fruits and so on. They are testing at the early stage numbers with 50 trees per numbers in their different situation. And at the end, we are sharing our experience, each grower sharing its experience. And at the end, it is the grower association who decides if we go further or not with cultivar. So for the moment, so that's an early picture of the group. For the moment, we are 39 organic growers, and we are working here. So there are some picture of our meetings where we are discussing testing fruits, and here we are evaluating fruits and also trees in our trials, and also on site with on the farmer sites. So there are pollination. So we make the cross. We have the nursery of the seedlings, experimental orchards. We are testing with the growers, and we are proposing a catalog of elite material, and they make the choice of the elite that want to be planted in their orchards. And also with the experience, we learned that a grower needs a sufficient number of trees to fill in a paddocks. If there are less than a paddocks, it's too difficult for growers to make anything as an evaluation of a variety. They are not working with boxes or with with bags. They only work with paddocks. So the level of measurement is paddocks, and paddocks is at least 300 kilos, 300 kilos. So we need to plant a sufficient number of experimental fruit trees to get a kind of paddocks at the end of some years of growing seasons. Then we also started, I think 15 years ago, to make breeding progress on pears. You know that Belgium is very famous to have developed in the past more than 1,000 pears cultivars with a large diversity and very high quality, smelting pears, what we call. And we are using such old material for developing a breeding program, also tolerance to scab, and mostly tolerance to twig scab. That is for us the most important for the growers. We cannot accept cultivars that are developing scab on twigs, because otherwise you have continuously inoculation in your field, and that's not reasonable to develop plant protection in such situations. So our most important key selection is scab on twigs. But here, as I mentioned also before, so the tree architecture is very important for the biennial habit, to reduce biennial habit. So we are looking such kind of tree architecture, if possible, that would be reduce the risk of biennial habit. That's some picture of numbers that are under trials with our growers. Here, the big advantage also of developing such a participatory approach of selecting material, so the latest stages of selecting material, so the pre-breeding or elite material, is that you have, if you see the number of places where we have evaluated, or we are ongoing to evaluate our material from here, some places it is harder, colder climate. Here, for I think it is here. This man, Patrick Dujardin, his place is also very cold, heavy soil, and we directly see which cultivars are more susceptible to canker. And so that's the big advantage, to have such a dispersal of places to evaluate cultivars, that you see and you can evaluate the capacity of adaptation in such different pedoclimatic conditions. And you see also the limits of some cultivars in different pedoclimatic conditions. But also you can also evaluate the point of view of the growers, because most of the growers that are involved in the InnOBreed association have a part of their production that are direct selling to the customers. So they received feedback from the consumers, and that's a very important point for us and for everybody, is to evaluate the acceptability or the joy, the happiness of the people in eating such cultivars. And that's also an element of decision for releasing a cultivar. So we only have for the moment one cultivar that has a small market, and that's the name is Ducasse. Ducasse is the name of in a village. Once a year there is a feast, so it is a special event, and the name is Ducasse. It is the period of the party of the village, and therefore we use the name Ducasse for developing such cultivar. It is a quite easy tree, no biennial habit, good keeping ability. The size is rather small. It's not a big apple. We can have a lower fungicide scheme than comparated with Jonagold, for example. It is a polygenic resistance cross with RVI6. Up to now, we have seen very slightly infection in some places, but for the moment, after more than 10 years of growing seasons, we haven't seen any breakdown of resistance in Ducasse, and that's for us very important point. So more or less 15,000 trees have been planted, and then just for closing my talk, in the framework of the project, we developed not a participatory approach, but a more collaborative approach, between people who want to share ideas or material in developing a cooperative program of organic fruit breeding. And so we were developing this charter together. We started already in the framework of another project, life seeding project. There started we the charter process, but we finalized it during the InnOBreed project. So when we were asking why do you want to share such network, we received all those responses. Sharing evaluation data, strengthening collaboration, sharing advanced selection, conducting joint pre-breeding or breeding project, using common set of descriptors. The most important is sharing our experience, sharing material, sharing ideas, and that's the way to work better together. So the charter welcome all participants that are engaged in either organic plant breeding, so with the full criteria of organic breeding at each steps of from crossing to the evaluation process, or breeding for organic farming. There it is only at the latest stage of the selection that the organic farming system is involved. But it is well an inclusive approach. And there is an event organized each year where we can exchange pollen, budwood, or seeds coming from crosses. And we want to facilitate the sharing of material between the partner of the charter. And if we can explain a little bit why are we happy to develop such charter, it is with a pleasure to work together. Together we can have inspiration. New ideas are coming when we're together. That's the social aspect of being together. We create inspiration, but also exchanging material and developing a kind of confidence sphere between the partners. But also in some cases we will develop common crosses, exchange material. But also the idea is to produce in Europe a larger diversity of products, and giving more pleasure to the people to eat an apple, with the pleasure to discover something new, something different, not only crispy, but we need also to have yes, juiciness, but also flavor. Flavor is very important for me, or for many of us. We need to have better flavor in our cultivars. And then at the end, we are also developing a network for testing cultivars in organic farming system. And the idea in many cases, but perhaps not in all cases, it will be cultivars more adapted to local markets with local people. But we don't know, we will see. So here is a table where partners wanted to share some vision. And for example, for Apfelgut, the first trade they are interested in was at this in 2025, European canker. The second, so the importance, the priority traits, the first priority traits was canker, the second priority traits was tolerability, and the third priority traits was frost tolerance. Pomaculta Nicholas, for example, the first traits for him was aroma, flavor, the second tolerability, and the third robustness, and so on and so on. And then we cross the people together who want to work on a European canker. So we were also interested in European canker. So we could develop partnership between EU1 and CRA-W for European canker. For late flowering, here CP Innovation were very interested. They could work with Olovusi or with Apfelgut. And therefore, we manage some bilateral. It seems that it is easier to develop bilateral collaborations, and the way to be fair was, and the rule that we define, simple rule, is when we share material, each of the partner are sharing the same importance of material. If I share budwood of 3 cultivars used for parents, I need to receive the same number of budwood from the same number of cultivars from another partner with the same level of quality or of knowledge about the traits of the cultivars. So we have also developed tables with different cultivars that could be used for parents or pre-breeding with their specific good traits, but also the specific bad traits that the people know before if the cultivars have such lower good traits inside the phenotype or the genotype of the material. And so we are in the second year of exchanging material. So the seeds of some people has been already exchanged. We are speaking about apple, but I know that we are also working on peach. There were also material that were shared, budwoods from Boku, Vienna, were it was very nice to receive material with lower susceptibility to Taphrina deformans, curl leaf. And so we will test this material in different places and eventually make some crosses afterwards. But also we could also share stones of peach and see what's happening in different places. Then some conclusion. I think that so the richness of such participatory approach is the diversity of our actors, complementary aspect between the actors. It is a social aspect. Then would it be better to involve the farmers or at least the advisors in an earlier stage of the breeding program than only at the later stage? That's something that we have to work on, I think. Topics we can improve also and change the topics. For example, the capacity of storage and with lower disease, post-harvest disease, becomes more and more important, it seems, for many organic growers. So it will be perhaps something that we will more work in the future. We need always to organize activities, so the farmers, for the growers, will not meet together without somebody who coordinates the work. So for the moment, it is Jean-Baptiste Rey from North France, who is a little bit the coordinator and who is always asking when, how, and what do we organize and so on. So we need somebody who take energy for the coordination of the group, otherwise the group will go down and go down. So that's very important. So it's taking energy. Then we need also to reflect about how to take the co-decision. So what are the rules for taking decisions? Very often some partners or some people speak more than others and take more power in the decision than others. So therefore we have adapted our way for taking the decision, but also for all decisions that we have to take, we need to have a good way to take the fair way to take the good decisions. And then we need the owner of the farmers, because they have their own way of selection in their own orchards, but also with the consumers, and that's very important for the community. And then for sure, as I mentioned, different meetings and visits are organized to get the people alive. So participatory breeding offers a large scope of expertise, complementary synergies, I've already told many times. It gives a partial response or a complementary response to financial crisis. Here, the growers are back in the driving position, and they take they are proud to take decisions together, and not that are not imposed by the market or by nurserying or by marketers. It offers a very rich human relationship between the partners, sometimes also with difficulties. When you speak about economics and market, the relationship are not always so fair. It depends on the people, but it happens. We need to have clear agreement between that's the good prerequisites of the project. Agreements need to be very defined and eventually updated when something is happening. For example, the Nova Fruit group is nowadays enlarged to the people that have agroforestry production, so mixing vegetables and fruit trees, but also high stem orchard meadows for developing products such as juice or ciders. So they are involved. They were not involved in the beginning of the association, but know well. And here we can also say that having put on the market such cultivars on a participatory approach is a clear demonstration of the usefulness of our plant genetic resources so the usefulness of our old cultivars, and that's for both growers, consumers, decision makers. And it is a way to boost the public awareness about the importance to conserve diversity and old fruit cultivars. And I think also that we need to be adapted to our local and our regional situation on different actors. At which stage are we on our breeding program and so on. And so the principle can be transposed, but we need to adapt them to the situation. And that was my last slide. So if you have any questions, remarks, and so on, we are open to discussion.
Thank you, Marc. Thank you. It was really rich and interesting presentation. Thanks a lot. Maria Giulia?
Yes, I can jump in. Yes. Thanks a lot, Marc. It's always such a pleasure to listen to you and feel the passion you have for your work and participatory breeding approaches in particular. I think you've been able to provide a very rich overview of what participatory breeding means in organic fruit breeding, starting from history, putting in principles, the founding principles, but also the climate change threats to such an approach. You were able to provide a wonderful example with Nova Fruit, including methodologies for involving farmers and partners in general. You mentioned the legal and administrative framework of it as an important pillar. And also, and I say that from a social science perspective, you were shedding light on the fact that the human social aspect is such a fundamental aspect. And so building trust and fruitful relationship is key. What I would like to do is inviting all the attendants, the stakeholders involved in this training to think about questions for Marc. But I would like to start from a very short one from my side. That is trying to put into practice what you've been saying regarding inclusive governance of participatory breeding approaches. You've been mentioning these with different words during your presentations at the end as well, saying that it's so important to establish meaningful and fair ways to support decision making. And I'd like to hear from your perspective how you've been managing the decision making in Nova Fruit. Decisions are taken in the association, but how do you manage conflicts? How do you manage people that see things in a very different and contrasting way? So that's my question, but then the floor will be for the others.
But first of all, the association is built with a council administration, so a steering committee, where there are, I think, 8 people, mostly growers, which are managing the decision. And then there are proposals that are given to the General Assembly. And the final decision are taken during the General Assembly meetings. And we are voting. When there are a problem, we are voting. We always ask, if possible, to have that everybody is yes or no. But if there is real problem, we are voting for big decisions. And also when we are taking or sharing our experience, we are sharing them anonymously. So they are writing on the paper for each number what they are thinking about juiciness, flavor, crunchiness, and so on. And they do that anonymously. And then afterwards we are sharing the things. But it was important to have the freedom of speech for each of the people equally on a fair base. Otherwise, in the beginning, the most dynamic people were taking many of the decisions or were influencing the others by too hard position.
Thanks.
But it is a way we have always to be adapted because it's always changing. The human being is so that it is a pleasure, but it is also a dynamic way.
An adaptive way of going ahead. Thanks a lot. So I see the colleagues from Apfelgood in Matthias, please.
Thank you. Hello together. Thanks, Marc, and for the presentation.
Hello, Matthias.
We were discussing, it's rather technical, yesterday evening with colleagues, how to select pear seedlings in the first to third leaf, because we have the problem in some places that we don't see scab or twig scab. We see mainly white spots on the leaves, and we see a lot of pear mites. Pear scab mites, maybe they are called in English.
Yes.
And they are so heavily infecting the trees that we can't find so much scab. But when the trees get older, it doesn't play a big role anymore. So we asked ourselves, how do you handle that in your pear selection in the first 3 leaves?
Bon, we are doing as normal. We are doing the controlled condition inoculation of the seedlings in the greenhouse. So, but we don't know the correlation between leaves susceptibility and twigs susceptibility. It seems that the correlation is not clear. So, is the screening methods well adapted for pear or not? It's still a question. Then therefore we are not so, the selection is not so hard. We are discarding the black leaves with nothing, but we are still keeping a lot of material. And for the moment, the seedlings are planted outside on their own roots for 6-7 years. Then you see the scab on twigs. But is it responsible so long term of selection? Because afterwards you have to graft the best, 2-3 years in the nursery, plant outside, asking 2-3 years. You are 6, 3, 9, 12 plus. Oof. But it's a way of life. It's a slow life. The most important is to start and not thinking about type. If you are thinking about time, you will never start a pair breeding program. Never. And also, we need to work together on pear because pear is too frustrating job. That if you are not together to push back energy in your program, you will stop. It's not. It's easier on apple than on pear.
Thanks, Marc, again. And I see Danilo is willing to share something. Please.
Well, you hear me? It's okay?
Yes.
Hello, Danilo.
Hello. You are frozen. I don't know why, Marc, but it's okay. I wanted to come back to the decision making and also to the collection of the information of the growers by the growers. How do you deal this collection? I think that I understand that you are making a degustation during a meeting in winter. It's not a problem. They are coming. They give their point of view and so on. However, the other part is also the production side, the tree evaluation. And for me, the tree evaluation, the producers have no time to make that. No. They are not making that in an accurate way. And how do you collect that? And then the second part of my question, in the final decision, are you weighted in another way, your evaluation that is very accurate in your research station and the evaluation of the growers, or they are in the same level? Or in other words, are you finally deciding or convincing the growers to choose one of elite material or the other one?
Okay, then concerning collecting information, that's very important point. In the beginning, we were very idealistic, and we thought, we make a table with easy evaluation scale, 1 to 3 or 1 to 5, very easy. But practically, nobody was taking any information. So we organized the trial. All the material is planted both at the both institutes, where we are doing the proper evaluation with proper scales and everything. So we have two experimental orchards with all the numbers that are there. So we have already, at least we have such evaluation. Then it has been possible also for some of the advisors or scientists to go to some farmer and to do the evaluation in their site. some farmers, some growers have a large collection of cultivars. Some have a small one. We go to the people who are very well engaged and have a lot of material in their own professional orchards. And there we are doing some evaluation when we can. And afterwards, for the tree evaluation, we do that by the visit when we are visiting the sites, either to a growers or to our experimental orchards. We are discussing about trees and architecture and so on. And also at Villeneuve-d'Ascq, so at North France, all the numbers are planted in a non-sprayed orchards. But the second trial is well in an organic farming system with low spray scheme, but there are treatments like an organic farmer normal. That's for the first. But collecting information, I think you are more advanced with Fibel. You develop this lab app on the mobile phones that can help taking pictures. I think we need to learn better your way to collect easier information than what we did for the moment in Belgium and France. So that's something, a point of progress. And then for the decision, the latest decision to be taken, no, it's really a good balance between the information from the growers and what we have as information. And if there is something very bad that we have seen and the farmers tell us, we are very interested, we don't put on a large market. For example, there was one number, one farmer was very happy with this number. But he was only, this number was only planted in his place, and he was given a special name of his place. But we did not decide to put for the large number of people, because for us it was biennial. There was a breakdown of resistance in many places, and it was canker susceptible. But the taste was so marvelous for this grower that he wanted to plant it with a limited number of trees. So we could have different level of releasing of material. And late response also. When the growers did not decide to go further with a number, the institute take the freedom to use the material as you want to use it. For example, some material, I release it for the gardeners. The growers, for them it was the size was too small. But then it was a very nice apple, good taste, long keeping ability, and so on and so on. So I release it with a network of nurseries, and the varieties on the market for the amateur growers and for orchard meadows.
Thanks, Marc. A very tiny question before moving to David once. I just wanted to know, what's your feeling about introducing digital tools into the participatory breeding programs? Is it going to be easier to build on a trust communication culture, or is it going to be more difficult to introduce such a kind of innovation, digital innovations, since you're used to very human-based, informal relationships?
The fact is that the younger people, it is quantitative, it is not qualitative. They are born with a phone app, so for them it is normal. So the young growers, they always are working with app, and so I think it will be easier for them for using such way for collecting material or sharing information or asking a question or having a direct question and help. we are too slow with the human relationship. It is too slow. It is deeper but slower.
Thanks a lot. David, please.
Deeper, slower, richer.
Probably, but I cannot evaluate.
But just a remark. Well, thank you very much for the presentation. It was very interesting, and I am working at INRA Avignon, and I am close to Sylvie Bureau that you know very well.
Yes, I know.
And especially I'm working on processing, and I also use participatory activity. And hearing from you, I have in fact two questions. My difficulty is to know which one I can try first. And my first question will be: how do you ensure during your breeding activity of a collaborative group that you do not select a few clusters of the available variability? Do you organize a kind of survey of where your breeding goes? Do you have a survey of if you keep a large variability available of the apple, or if you don't go into a kind of cornerstone of the variability available? Do you have this kind of survey of the?
That's a good question, but difficult to give a clear response answer to that. The fact is, yes, it is a selection process. Selection means you reduce the diversity. And yes, the farmers, they have economical constraints, and they want to have specific traits to be selected in their cultivars. And the only point that we can, the level on which we can play is to enlarge the scope of the parents, to be sure that you are not playing always with the same small group of parents. You enlarge so much as possible, but there are also limits, because some cultivars, many of the offsprings gives not the good quality of the fruits. So you will not use them so much for dessert fruits, but then you have a much larger scope for processing fruits. For example, we have a contract, an agreement with a small industry. They ask for having a very, so apple cultivars with very high level of acidity and very high level of sugar. Acidity, why? Because all the fruits that are on the market are sweet, too sweet for the processing industry, and then they have to add citric acid or something like that. They don't want to use artificial acidity. Therefore, they want to have a specific plantation with very high level of acidity to balance their product. A juice without acidity is not a good juice. So that's a way to enlarge the scope. But for dessert fruits, I think that flavor and polyphenols are things that we can improve in our breeding material that are neglected in the commercial breeding programs. That's an originality that we need to keep in public service institutes. But I wonder why INRA is not developing no more apple and pear participatory breeding approach at regional, but that's another question. Your second question is?
So it's easy to jump to my second question regarding your answer, and my second question was for the participatory aspect, and I was thinking you mentioned that it helps you to go to more robustness, but as I'm listening to you robustness is you go to more efficiency of the system
Yeah.
in general, and you often come to the point that some cultivars will have all the advantage of having things, but I think that participatory aspect can also help to go on how to develop robustness by creating some kind of collaborative trees. You know, if you mean an orchards like okay, some years you need to be resistant to a huge attack of scalp, and another year you will have a problem with winter, late winter, and so on. And having a more diverse orchards could help to cope to different attacks or different things. And that's a point that we try to develop around the idea of creating a process specialized orchard, and having in the middle, I mentioned, for example, your acidity apple, your sweet apple. How can we mix varieties to have a global orchard which is more robust?
Yes, but you give the answer. But the fact is that each cultivar is adapted to a specific marketing chain.
Yeah.
And if you have, we know some growers, they are growing 20, 30 cultivars different, and they are always happy. Because even if the one is the biennial, you say, but the year of biennial, I don't do anything. No pruning, no spraying, nothing. And the year of they will be, so the cost is nothing. Yeah, the place, it takes place in the orchard. But if they have a market for that, they are happy. But if you go to the supermarket, you will reduce the number of cultivars, and you will only grow the cultivars that are asked by the supermarkets.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the link is direct between the marketing and cultivars.
And for you, there's no way to fight against that?
No, we are looking for diversity, and as public service, we are working with all growers and all systems. That's our main objective.
And having more the consumer into the consortium of
yes, that's a good question.
Consumers,
We are participating to events with public, and we are testing the numbers with the public, with children, with older people, and also we receive the feedback from the growers themselves. But we have no formal association with consumers for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Just to mention also concerning, to be clear about the breeders' rights.
Yep.
So we got the breeders' rights for the cultivars, and we are sharing the fee between the institutes and the growers organization. So a part of the breeders' right come to the institutes, and a part go to the growers association for helping them to organizing all the things and so on. So we need that also to be negotiated. It needs to be negotiated case by case for each cultivar.
Thank you.
Thanks, David and Marc. Danilo, please go ahead.
Yeah, we talked a lot about social aspects, about friendship, about co-creation, etc., etc. What about the participation of the different actors in your organization to the cost? To release one variety costs more or less 2 million, depending on the country. Okay, that's quite a lot. The growers are coming quite late, only with elite material and so on.
Yes.
It's late, and they can have the fruits and sell the fruits by their own, I suppose, and so on. Do you have somehow pressure from your institution in order to lower the cost, in order to, or pressure in order to have more hectares that are planted of your varieties? or are the different participants to the association Nova Fruit paying quite a lot also for you in order to share the cost? That's also a social aspect because it deals with fairness for me, and or other public institutions that are supporting more or less the whole cost of releasing a variety.
No, it is also a good question, Danilo. Thank you. No, for the moment, it depends on the ministry, the minister. The minister are changing each 5 years. Also, the general director of my institute can have also another strategy. Up for no. We are paying the fees. We are paying the breeders' rights to CPVO. We are paying the 16,000. The farmers are paying only their trees. They pay the trees. We don't pay the trees for the trials or for anything. So they pay their own trees, and we got the breeders' rights on the trees, trees based. But due to the fact that we decided to give only a regional area of plantation, the number of trees are limited, and so the income are limited. Up to now, the Institute is not really aware about what we are doing. First thing. Second thing, if there are incomes, they are happy. And also the fact is that there is a logic by having a large genetic resource collection and having activities to valorize such material, either by releasing directly to nursery, so the people are happy to get tolerant cultivars in their garden, or growers that are happy to have tolerant cultivars in their orchards. And up to now, because the ministers are voted by the public, if the public is happy, it has also social and a monetary value. If the people are happy of what our institute is doing, it has an impact. And it gives a good signal to the policymakers that we are useful and not only theater or looking for old cultivars and just nostalgic. Voila, it's a balance between but sometimes you could think about what a pity that you get not much more money than that. Then the rules that we defined with the Growers Association is for this geographic area, they received the exclusivity of the cultivars for 10 years. We are negotiating for the 10 more, so they will receive it for 30 years, I think, for the regional geographic area. But if another group of organic farmers are willing to plant such cultivars in their own region and not for the big market, we are open to discuss and also to build the same principle in different regions of Europe. For the moment, it is not the case, but it could be the case.
Thanks, Marc. Yes, I think it was very important to talk about the economic sustainability and fairness as well. And it can be a driver, a positive driver, thinking about that. Laura, please go ahead. I think Ami will be the last question, right?
Hello, Laura.
So,
hi.
An important one. Thanks.
Thank you, Maria. Hi, Marc. Thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting. Just a short question on the gas. Do you have any idea besides the SCAP tolerance, if there's any other traits like less susceptibility to canker or mildew or any other pests?
For the moment, for scab, it is really highly tolerant to scab. Some spots have been seen in some places, but no breakdown, so that's very important. It has some susceptibility to powdery mildew.
Okay.
And a low susceptibility to canker. It's not resistant to canker, but it is a little bit lower than average susceptibility to canker. We have no big problem in no places for canker. It was not the case with Coccinelle, the first that we released. In some places it was heavily infected by canker. In many places not, but the limit was well there that canker could be a problem for Coccinelle. But for Ducasse, up to now, we always have to say up to now, we haven't seen so much problem. I think the big advantage for the people and for the market is that it has a good shelf life. So when the fruits come out the fridge, they can stay very hard and crispy up to 3, 4, 5 weeks. It becomes not mealy. What we observe, for example, with Natira at the end, it becomes mealy. And that's not the case of, I don't know why, it is a little bit by chance, I think. But it is a chance. The market people, they don't want to have a product that change during the time with the quality. If you buy it good, and then next time you buy it, it's less good. And then afterwards you put that on your table, and then it became mealy. You are not happy. That's a big advantage of Crisp Pink. Crisp Pink stay average bad all the time. Oh, I'm a bad man.
I agree. No, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks to all of you who animated this roundtable.
Thank you
I
to
think
you,
it's already 12, so definitely time to
just to mention
close.
that Laura is the nursery that for the moment is propagating the Ducasse for our growers. So it is a good relationship that we built together since 6-7 years. So we are happy to have a good nursery to propagate our fruit trees. The next step will be, what about organic propagating fruit trees? Do you think you will go to this possibility, Laura, in the future?
For us, I'm open to look into it. But at this point, canker and woolly aphids are still very big issue there. So I think that would definitely raise the price of the trees naturally. But we still need some more biological products to help us in producing these trees in an organic nursery, I think.
Okay.
But Marc, she needs first to produce 1 million of your trees, and then she will think about investing in you.
Yes, but she's not only released Ducasse, she's also released all other cultivars adapted to organic farming. So it is a market. No, we are not planning 1 million trees.
So thank you, Marc, for your presentation. Maria Julia for animating the question sessions. Thank you for your presence, and see you maybe in 2 weeks for the last webinar. It's more about digital tools for data collection.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you for the audience.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
Bye.
Camille.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.